Coyote Seafoodies. All right, I'm back again. So today we are doing like a meal in one pan. And this is like the simplest thing that you can do. I love meal prepping on Sunday and kind of like cooking ahead or extra so that way I've got it throughout the week. And this right here is a perfect example. Now I'm going to be very careful because I'm handling raw chicken here, so we don't want to cross-contaminate. So we're going to work with vegetables first and then with our meat, and I'll show you how to cut this chicken specifically. Now I will tell you that some very important tips in the kitchen or utensils I like to use is one is my cast iron. I have different sizes. I have skillets, and then I have, you can see this dish right here, it's got just a little bit of a lip to it, but this is cast iron. It has been seasoned, and if you have cast iron, take good care of it. You don't ever want to use like a soap on it. You don't want to use a harsh brush on it. The more you cook in it, the better it becomes, and it becomes seasoned and things don't stick to it. Anyway, so that's my cast iron. And then the second thing that I like are my kitchen shears. So these are not the same thing as regular scissors. They're much heavier. They're made to cut through bone, which is very important because we're going to be using that today with our chicken when we do a Spatchcock chicken. Now, I'm cooking mine in the oven today. You can cook this out on the grill, but you can cook the vegetables separately. I'm just putting everything in one pan. All right, so I've got my vegetables here. I started them earlier because I didn't want to cross-contaminate, and I figured this would kind of save a step. So I've got green beans, and you can see I've got some onions, and then I've got some white potatoes, which I did not peel. I just cut them into nice sized chunks here. And I want to season it with some olive oil and some salt and pepper. Now this is going to get the good flavors from the chicken as well, because the chicken is going to be sitting on top of my vegetables. So I've got my olive oil, and next I have my sea salt. And then of course our fresh cracked black pepper. Now as it starts turning a little bit cooler, this is a perfect meal to make for a fall day. Just pop in the oven and sit back and relax for a while. A nice loaf of bread, perhaps a glass of wine, a nice glass of wine would really top the meal off. All right, so we've got those seasoned, and now we're just gonna give these a little stir. Now, if you wanted to use the haricot vert green beans, you could. You can find them in the frozen food section. Sometimes you can find them in little bags that are already in the produce section, but they're very tender, small, young green beans. So they're just nicer in a way. Sometimes you get the bigger green beans, which end up being kind of stringy and tough, but the others are very tender, and you don't have to worry about that stringiness. Plus they're already prepped for you. You don't have to worry about doing anything like snapping the ends off. All right, so I'm going to lay these out on my dish and try to make sure everything is even. And that was about 4 small potatoes. And then I used a yellow onion that I just kind of chopped up, roughly chopped as well. Okay, so there we go. So we've got that prepped. All right, now we're gonna work with our chicken. So this is a Spatchcock chicken. Now, if you can see, I've already got my seasonings in the bowls here. The reason being is that I don't want to be handling chicken and then grabbing my containers and contaminating everything I touch with the chicken juices. All right, so that's why I've got that there, so that way I can handle it. So this right here, it's about 4.5 pound chicken. It's not a roasting hen. This is just a regular chicken. And I've positioned it with the breast side down, and you can see there's a little tail, so that's the butt, and it is facing upward, and legs are spread out, and then the wings. Next, I'm going to take my kitchen shear, and you can see right there that little tail. So what we want to do is we're going to cut along both sides of the backbone, and this is going to break the chicken in half. Now, like I said, kitchen shears are great for this. It's still going to require some work, as you can see, but there we go. Get it started. Once you get going, it's a little bit easier, so I say. Now, you'll hear people say they rinse their chicken. You know, I've heard people say they do it, and then I've read don't do it because you end up spreading the bacteria from the chicken in the sink and getting it all over the place. So that is your personal preference there. Okay, so you can see right there we have our backbone, which we have cut out, and I'm going to remove any of these little gizzardy looking pieces and some of this fat in here, just because I don't want that. You know, if you want to lay the fat, go ahead and do that. Let's lay the fat on that, and that one's going to season that right there. And then I'm putting my chicken aside. All right, so we've got the backbone cut out. So next we're going to flip our chicken breast side up. All right, this is where being short doesn't come in handy. So press the back or breastbone. Okay, that's where strength comes in handy, and you want to break it. So you see how it's laying flat now? So we have broken that breastbone in two. We've flattened it out. We've removed that backbone, so now we have a nice flat chicken here. And this is really great if you want to cook a chicken in a hurry and not roast it for the full 2.5 hours or 2 hours or however long. You can spatchcock it like this, and it'll cook much quicker, and you still have a beautiful whole bird. All right, so let me wash my hands. Very important that you don't contaminate anything else, so wash your hands. Remember, anytime you've been working with chicken or any kind of raw meat, always clean your kitchen afterwards. Spray your sink out, make sure you clean the countertops off and everything. All right, so here's our chicken, and next I'm going to cover it with a little bit of olive oil. Flip it. Oops, slippery little sucker. All right. Nice. All right. So, clean hand, dirty hand. And now we're just going to season. Now this is that sea salt here. I like the coarse sea salt better than the table salt when I'm seasoning my meats. And you always want to season a little bit more than what you think is normal, just because it will cook off, and you really want to flavor that meat well, because if you cook something and you haven't seasoned it well, it's not really going to matter in the end. It's not going to pick up any of that. Alright, so that is done. Now I'm going to season this side. Alright, So in this bowl over here, I have freshly cracked black pepper and some smoked paprika and some garlic powder. I didn't use garlic salt because we already have salt on the chicken, so I just used some garlic powder. Okay, there we go. Pretty, very nice looking. All right, so next we're gonna take our chicken and we're going to place it on our vegetables over here. So it's going directly on top. And if you need to move the legs, that's fine. Here we go. So you can see that pan fits it perfectly. All right, let me wash my hands. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to cover this with foil, and then I'm going to take a pan and place it on top and then weigh it down with a heavier pan. And what that will do is that's going to press the chicken and it's going to give it that crispy exterior. Okay. Now that's a step you don't have to do if you don't like. You can just put it in the oven as is. But I like it just because it gives that crispy texture. And it's also going to lay on top of those vegetables and really kind of caramelize them as well. All right, so actually I'm gonna take a little bit of this salt and just kind of sprinkle on the vegetables here. All right, here we go with our Reynolds wrap. And I'm just putting it on top to protect that other pan. Next, I'm taking my cookie sheet here, and I'm not going to put this on yet because I've got to walk it over to the stove, and I don't want to cause an accident. Let me get my pan. All right, so my oven's at 400 degrees. And this is going to go in, and then we're going to put our cast iron skillet on top of that. All right, so that's going to go in there and it's going to cook. We're going to check on it at about 45 minutes, and we're going to see how it looks, and then we'll determine if we need more time. So check back with me about 45 minutes, and I'll let you know how things look, and then we'll take it out of the oven. All right, so it's been about 45-50 minutes, and we're gonna take a peek at the chicken and see how it's doing. Now, I did take this baking sheet and skillet off just a second ago, because I didn't want to try to juggle that on camera, because it really could have had a bad outcome. So come on over, let's look and see how we're doing here. Gorgeous. Look at that chicken. Doesn't it look amazing? Now, if you don't have a thermometer, one good way of telling if your chicken is done, well, I know people typically poke it to see if the juices run clear. I don't personally like doing that just because you let go of a lot of those juices. But if your drumstick moves pretty freely in the joint, then that's a good indication that it's done. Or you can use a thermometer, one of those meat thermometers. So it's probably got about 10 more minutes, and I'm just going to leave it uncovered, and let the vegetables kind of brown up a little bit. So we're gonna put it back in the oven. And then we're gonna check on it in about 10 more minutes. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes. We've taken the pan off, the aluminum foil off, and we've let it continue cooking. And there is our beautiful spatchcock chicken with our vegetables. So you can see it's nice and golden brown. We've got that beautiful crust going on with the skin. It's cooked through. We have our vegetables all together. So this is a wonderful meal in one. You could serve it with a salad for something fresh on the side, or as is. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. And again, be careful with your chicken. Make sure you don't cross-contaminate. So I prepped the vegetables ahead of time so we didn't have a cutting board. I mean, it really wasn't a cross-contamination since I did that ahead of time. But you don't want to do chicken first and then the vegetables. So just be mindful about that. Always wash your hands and wash your kitchen counters and everything if you handle the raw meat. Cook it at 400 for, it was about an hour and 10 minutes. And you'll have this beautiful meal. So hope you've enjoyed, and thanks for eating with me tonight. Take care. Ciao.